Since this is a review, it should be obvious that there are spoilers ahead. I won't tell you everything, but still, if you don't want to get spoiled, this is your last chance. So I'm done with this game. I'm not 100% through with it. I haven't collected everything, but I've done anything that has to do with the story. So I've played both the Void Fight, I've done K. Rool, I've done K. Rool the second, I've done all of the rehearsals and got the secret ending. I am done. And since I wanted to actually do a review and then maybe do some other stuff with this game, I decided it wouldn't be worth it to collect everything before I do my review, because I feel like I've played enough. So this is gonna be a bit chaotic, as I just made a list while playing of things I like or dislike or wanted to mention in this. So we're just gonna do everything unchronologically, and it's just gonna be things I wanted to say. So one of the first things that blew me away, or I didn't really expect, is the transition between layers. When you jump down a hole and the loading screen comes up, I'd expect to get teleported to the other layer, but instead you actually drop down and you kind of fall and can hit stuff, and Pauline talks with you. And this reminds me a bit of the Odyssey transitions before you actually beat Bowser, where Cappy talks to you and he just gives you some tips about the kingdoms coming up, like how's the weather, what you can do, what's like sightseeing stuff. And this is just basically the same, because you still get the voice lines, and obviously it's a hidden loading screen, but in general I think it's a bit better, since you can actually move and you have to do a bit more than just spamming A to get through it as quickly as possible. And it's actually voiced this time. It's not like random noises from Cappy and you have to read the text. It's Pauline's actually saying this stuff, so you can just listen and focus on hitting gold or avoiding obstacles. Another thing that they took from Odyssey, which I am glad they did, is choosable paths. So this only happens once, and it's kind of sad that it only happens once, but at least it happened. There are choosable paths, so you can actually choose which layer you want to go to first. And I did the Forest Kingdom first, and as soon as I beat the boss and went to the junction, I thought to myself, oh, don't I have to do the other one? Because in Odyssey you had to do both. You could just choose which one to do first, and then after doing that you had to do the other one and then proceed. And here I thought, yeah, well, maybe I can just skip a layer, but no, of course, you still have to go back and do the other layer as well in order to progress at the junction. Speaking of the junction, I might as well say it now. I like the fake void fight in the junction. It kind of reminds me of the fake fight in Odyssey with the Cloud Kingdom. It should be obvious for anyone that played a few games before that this is not the end fight, since we're not at the place we've been talking about the entire game. But for everybody that's a bit on the younger side, and especially Nintendo has many players that are, I think this is a good surprise and it's kind of fun. One thing I find a bit annoying is that you have to chase Void through the layers as he gets bananas for his drill. It's kind of reminding me of the Luigi's Mansion 3 situation where the cat steals your elevator button and you have to chase it through multiple layers. I think if we just had to go to one layer and then we could have beat him up and he had enough bananas, that would have been fine, but doing it as much as they did, it's kind of overkill. And I think after the first one I've had enough, and then it was just an annoyance. So next up on my list is animations and interactions in general between Pauline and Donkey Kong, and I already kind of mentioned it on the transition thing where Pauline talks to Donkey Kong, but this happens all the time. For example, when you're idle, Pauline will snap with her fingers and DK will make faces, or after defeating a world boss they kind of dance and beat their chests. Or more broadly speaking, just in general, the voice lines, every time something happens that's a bit significant, Pauline has a voice line for that. Or maybe even when you go to sleep in a hideout, Pauline has many voice lines, and even hideout specific ones. Like if you're on a hideout near a cliff, she will tell you that she has fear of falling off. Or when you're sleeping in a hot area, she will just tell you it's hot. Yeah, it's just a small touch, you know, it's not the world, but it's cool that they made more than one voice line. Something that isn't so cool is the 60 FPS thing. I don't like that it drops that much. Don't get me wrong, this game looks beautiful in 4K and 60 FPS, and it's running oftentimes at 60 FPS, but there are a few situations that happen often enough so that it gets annoying where the FPS actually drops below 60F significantly. So there's this one bonus stage right in the hill layer where you just get to destroy a lot of gold, and then obviously a lot of gold chunks spawn, and that's kind of too much for the Switch 2 to handle, so it starts to lag. And in general, when you start to smash a lot of terrain, the frames tend to drop a bit. This doesn't happen when you're tunneling, but when you're destroying a lot of chunks or a lot of gold, then it also drops down. And a bit more annoying is that boss intros sometimes lag, and collecting bananas always at the start of the animation feel like they are going below 60 FPS. They admit it so much as that they know, and that they just prioritized fun over FPS in these situations in an interview before the game even released, so they're not hiding it. But still, I think it would have been nice to kind of prevent that stuff. I don't care if we do it like in both 3D Zeldas on the Switch, where the resolution actually starts to drop a bit. Obviously, if we're playing in 4K, then it should just drop down to Ultra HD or HD, and then once it's actually performant enough to go back to 4K, then we could go back to 4K. I don't think that would be that problematic. And also, something I didn't even write down, but it's just coming to my mind right now, is that maybe we should start getting performance modes and quality modes. I know that Metroid Prime 4 has a quality and performance mode, and I think even though I like the 4K resolution, I would prefer to play this game in HD if we could just get 60 FPS constantly. Oh yeah, also, like, I completely forgot the minimap, but yeah, on the minimap it's also horrendous sometimes what the FPS does, but here I don't even know why. I mean, it's a low poly version of the entire world. I don't see it. I also like the bat boss in the elephant biome, which is probably my favorite one, but it's also it's also one of the least performant ones because of all of the rain and lava particles. But I like that the boss is, at first I thought 2-parted, but it's actually 3-parted. And this kind of reminds me of the Gypto Queen from Tears of the Kingdom, where you meet her and then you're like, oh, damn, okay, boss fight already, let's go. And then halfway through her health bar, she just vanishes. And you're like, what? And then you just have to chase her down, and it's fun. I also think it's a nice thing that Cranky's on his own adventure with Rambi, kind of like Princess Peach was after defeating Bowser, and every time you find him he'll give you a banana. Speaking of Rambi, I just wish we could have had more interactions with him. I know we have the race with Dixie and Diddy, but in general, maybe like incorporate Rambi into an actual world would have been cool. But I also do get that we have Bananzas for that. But Bananzas are a bit underused. I don't think that there aren't cases where you can use them. I use them a lot, but it was always for problems where there was a more tedious solution doing it without it, so it was more convenience than necessity. And I think Bananzas are just given to you. You have to use them in the world that they are given to you, but after that they kind of lose relevancy until the finale. In the finale they utilize them greatly, but I think they should have just done more challenges where you actually need certain Bananzas in later worlds, like in the middle of the game or something. I think that would have been cool. Also, this game is full of Easter eggs, and I love it. There's this one time where Dixie and Diddy talk about rescuing Donkey Kong, which is obviously a reference to an older Donkey Kong game. And in general, there's always like references to barrels, burning barrels coming down, like in the Snake World, for example, or Ingot Isle at the start, where there are like these bars which represent the original bars where DK was on in the arcade game. This is something more of interpretation, but in the sub-layer 3 of the Snake World, there are like these edged snakes, and I think that could be a reference to the game Snake, or like the old Windows pipe screensaver. It's just fun. Like it's fun looking at the game, and some fossils are references as well, and obviously kind of like this teasing throughout the game, like, oh, okay, the enemies are golden skeletons that look like crocodiles. There are certain rocks that look like crocodiles, and at the end you actually meet K. Rool, and it wasn't just a bait. He's actually in the game. It's also kind of cool foreshadowing. Yeah, I really like the Easter eggs in this game in general. And something I only really noticed in this game is the haptic feedback. It's really good. I know that Nintendo uses a lot of vibration in all of their games. I know that a lot of Mario Kart World things have vibration, and I know that it's there and I feel it, but in this game it just felt right. It felt way stronger and better, and vibrations feel different depending on the ground you're walking on and climbing, and I don't know why, but it just feels that good. And keep in mind, I'm still playing on my Switch 1 Pro controller, so I don't even know how it feels on the Switch 2 Pro controller, because I do believe that actually has HD Rumble 2 now instead of 1, so that might be even better. One thing that is a downgrade from Odyssey is the music player, because you're actually losing quality as it's bassless, and it's obviously stylized to sound like it's actually coming out of the music player in your hideout. But I prefer the version in Odyssey where you can just open a menu and just click the song and it plays in full quality. That's also something you can do it anywhere in Odyssey, and in Bananza you have to go to a hideout. So actually I forgot about the Mighty speaker in the kind of like prison layer. If you do that, that is also post-story content, but if you actually complete that one, you can listen to them in studio quality. And also something I wanted to mention, if you hear any background noises, I'm very sorry, but there's a thunderstorm currently going on, so it kind of might sound a bit weird, and I was too stupid to close the window, and I'm not about to re-record this entire thing again. And also, for songs, you have to collect records in this game and not just be there in the world and hear the song once so you can use it in the music player like you did in Odyssey. And I like the idea of having to do something for that, but collecting records is a pain in the ass, because I've played through the entire game and I've got like 20 records or something. The problem is that you get them way too slowly. And I know there's an outfit for Pauline you get after the secret ending, or through the amiibo where you get double the chances of record spawning, but that doesn't solve one crucial problem I have with the records, because I'm pretty sure I lost half of the records due to just stupid game design. For example, in like challenge rooms, they will just fall off the stage sometimes, and then obviously they don't get collected. Or in a challenge room, if the last enemy drops this record, then yeah, you just get ported away before you can even collect the record. And it's teasing at this point. So my suggestion would be to A, don't make them spawn in challenge rooms because it's aggravating, or B, like the better solution, just make them auto collect. Just make me hit them once and I don't have to pick it up again. It just gets added to my collection. That would make things way easier. Also, what I think is a bit sad is that there are bosses reused. Like Pika Bruiser is reused, and yeah, it's harder. I get that it's harder, and I think it has its place, but why not make it post story content? Why not make it like the pictures in Odyssey where you can jump into and get a harder version of a boss you already beat? Why not make it like that? And why incorporate it into the story? Because especially the harder Pika Bruiser, it was just insanely annoying to beat this guy. There were so many of these little things around, and it also made the game lag. Yeah, I was down to 20 FPS or something. It was horrible. This fight is definitely, yeah, it's too much. I'm sorry, it's too much. It's stupidly annoying, and I think they should have just thought of 2 new bosses. There's one exception, because one boss is reused in a cool way, and that is the mixer. I do think, yeah, the mixer, yeah, reusing it as a carnival game, that's fine. It was also a bit annoying collecting so much gold for the final. If I do remember correctly, you need like 3,000, and then you need 5,000, and then you need 9,999. So you need 18,000 gold at the end, and that's a bit annoying if you spend a lot before and you don't know that you need gold at the end. However, it's manageable with all of the bonus rooms, and it only took me like 10 minutes to get the amount of gold I needed. But still, I think this is a bit annoying, and why even ask for gold? Maybe ask for like a certain amount of bananas collected. Make it like that, but gold is, yeah, it's just annoying. The final Void Kong battle was cool, but the rockets are a bit unfair, because if you defeat one of these voidalizers or whatever they're called, like these machines that void stuff, if you defeat one of those and rockets are targeting you, like normally they would fly in the walls surrounding these void machines, but if you beat the void machine before the rocket hits the wall, the rocket just flies right at you, and since you're stuck in an animation, you can't really do anything about it, and it's just a hit. So that's kind of unfair. But the criticism I really want to make isn't that it's unfair. You can get over that. You just have to think around that. No, it's also laggy. Like, really, I had horrible lag sometimes. It wasn't as bad as Pika Bruiser, but it was still not good. I don't know why. They could have just done some optimization. I'm sure they could have actually deloaded the rest of the level, since you can't really leave the plane. So I don't know why they didn't, or why they weren't able to optimize more, but yeah, this is also a bit laggy. What I do like, on the other hand, is the cutscenes. The cutscenes look amazing in this game, and everything feels a lot more lively. They're not quite at the level of whoever did Luigi's Mansion 3, I forgot their name, but those animations are still better, but Nintendo's definitely catching up when it comes to animations. And although I'm not a fan of the new Donkey Kong model, I do have to admit that even though I dislike it, they somehow managed to make some scenes that actually look pretty good. A cool detail is that after discovering K. Rool and permanently beating Void Kong, all of the enemies actually transform into their real version. Before, they were just golden skulls or golden skeletons within like the elements, and afterwards they're actual Kremlings inside of the materials. So that just makes it more believable that he's actually in the world. The end fight obviously was nice against K. Rool, and then we just go on towards the surface, and then all of a sudden, because I kind of knew that they can't just introduce K. Rool and make him like KO after 5 minutes. K. Rool actually strikes back. You have to defend the drill until you're at the surface, and even afterwards he completely wrecks the city, and you have to defend the city. And then just the fight in general, it's hard. I died a few times. It was frustrating sometimes, but it was a really good end fight. And why it was frustrating is because of two things. Sometimes I think the attack patterns aren't really that clear. For example, when he drops the balls and surrounding the balls, everything gets into this like mud substance that burns Donkey Kong. I thought that like the ball and maybe a radius of 2 meters would be like in the mud, but it was the exact opposite way. And I didn't really think that was fair for the first time because I didn't see it earlier. So what I'm trying to say is that some of the attacks aren't really readable, and I think it's a bit unfair sometimes, but this is nothing that you couldn't work around, and if you die once, so be it. No, the more frustrating thing is the spawn points, because I remember the most frustrating spawn point was if you died within the last K. Rool battle, you didn't only have to start the K. Rool battle from phase 1 again, which is fine obviously, but you also had to do the last zebra segment again where you ran across these like falling platforms, and that was just annoying. It was like, why do I have to do 3 minutes more of work? Why couldn't you just spawn me into the battle again? Why do I have to do this again? So, and this is across the entire game. I think the spawn points are a bit hideous at some points. And then after the finale is over and Pauline starts to pursue her dreams and we start to pursue DK's dreams, it is a nice throwback that we actually end the story the same way we started, by punching through a rock. I forgot how this principle is called. This is something in literature, I believe. I've had it in school once, and this is a nice closing for that. So in general, the story was good. It was fun. It had lots of surprises inside, and the post game is also fun. It's a bit tedious, and especially the rehearsals are challenging at some times, but it's worth it, and I'm definitely gonna play some more and collect a lot more bananas. I don't know if I'll 100% it because it's a lot, and I do really have to get out of my room sometimes because I've been playing DK Bananza almost non-stop since it launched, but it's fun. Yeah, it's definitely fun. In total, I'd give this game a 9 out of 10, just because, yeah, the performance is sometimes like, it blows sometimes, and some other things like collecting records aren't really good, and the lava textures look horrendous, but in general, this is definitely worth buying. That was a lot of rambling. We'll see what I do now, since I don't really have any ideas for videos left. But if you like this one, leave a like, write me in the comments what you think about this entire game, and subscribe, and until next time.